Happy Sunday, everybody. I am the Bald Kid Nostalgic, and this is SlickBlast RapCast. So, in a couple of minutes, we'll be having on a special guest, world renowned. He's an international, worldwide artist. He's covered a lot of hip hop art, from shirts that Dave Chappelle has rocked, Questlove of the Roots, a lot of legends. This guy's work is pretty amazing. His name is Lish, the English gentleman, and he will be on with us in a few minutes, and looking forward to it. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking it's Sunday. What's going on, my brother? As always, thank you for supporting, man. JGKG213, repping the ATL. What's going on, brother? So you might be saying to yourself, Boombox, what up, brother? Much love. You might be saying to yourself, it's Sunday. Something's not right. It's Sunday and it's early. Two different spectrums that you wouldn't expect, right? From SBRC. So basically, Lish, it's a 9-hour difference where Lish is at. So it was only courteous, him being on the show, it was only courteous of me to start early. So that way his time frame on his other side of the world has a nice balance. So that's what we're doing here. So I hope everybody's having a good Sunday. So I got some shirts, actually. I'll wait for Lish to come on and we can discuss some of the shirts. It was J Period from BK, DJ. It's DJ J Period, and he's got a shirt line of different MCs, and it was a limited thing. Yeah, absolutely perfect timing for London. Yeah, so that's what I wanted to do. I kind of wanted to have a nice balance, and that way he's awake and it's not bedtime, you know. So what I'll do is I will send Lish a request, and we'll get this thing going. All right. Once again, he's done a lot of phenomenal artwork for a lot of hip hop artists, pretty much everyone and their mama in the hip hop world. So it's kind of cool that we'll be catching up and we'll be discussing some of his art and his skill set. You know, the guy's definitely got a skill set. All right, let's see. The man with the plan. All right. Okay. So we'll give him a couple of minutes. I sent him. Yeah. So it was had a nice conversation, and then he said he was all in to sign up and be on. So that was cool. It didn't take much to get him on the show, which is great. I love that. You know, I love when people are transparent and just share similar love and bond for hip hop. And there he goes. He just joined on, so we'll wait for him. There he is, like clockwork, baby, like clockwork. All right, so I'm gonna view in, and there is the man with the plan. Should be on in about 5 seconds. All right. There he is.
How you doing?
How are you, brother?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I look like that character out of Cocoon, like one of the aliens, like an unfinished product. It's the window.
No, man. Oh, you brought it back with that one, Cocoon. Oh,
Yeah.
Lord. Wow, you took it way back.
Yeah, I
That's
love that film. I haven't seen it in a long time.
that's a great film, by the way. I love it. Lish, looking great, man. Oh, I love the cat. That's a
Yeah. Working on this 50 producers right now. I don't know
wow.
if you can see that, but yeah, I'm just filling it in, just roughing it out in pencil
Nice.
before I ink it. But it's a lot of work. It's a real big piece. I'm looking after this cat, but it's made itself very comfortable on you know, on the artwork because it probably feels warm or something under his belly.
He's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna stay right here. It's a he, right? Is it a he? The cat?
Yeah.
Okay, what's his name?
Gray. And
Gray. I like.
I didn't name it. We call it Graham because we didn't like the name Gray.
I like it. It sounds like he could be in a comic book or something. Just the name itself. I love it.
Yeah.
Graham. So I wanna give you a proper introduction, man, because for the people that don't know about your work and that don't know what you represent, this guy is a phenomenal artist from around the world. He's done a lot of work, great work for hip hop artists worldwide. So let's introduce the man, the legend, Dan Lish. Welcome.
Thanks.
Welcome to absolutely, man. It's you know, again, once again, I like to showcase people that deserve to be showcased, and sometimes, as we like to say, sometimes on social media, right? Sometimes it's an afterthought when you're scrolling, right? You're going about your daily activities, you know, you're eating a sandwich, whatever it is, and then sometimes there could be a phenomenal thing, and then you pass it up. So that's why we're here to have you on to display your masterful, just dope art in general. So
thank you, man.
you're welcome, my brother. You're welcome. And I'm glad to have you on, man. So once again, this is Dan Lish. For everybody that's checking for us, SlickBlast RapCast. He mentioned he looked like the alien from Cocoon. I don't think he does. I think he's a handsome dude, but but I get it.
It's because the light from our beautiful summer in the UK, which looks like it's going to rain very, very soon.
Yes.
I think that I've got an old phone. I look very sort of bleached out, but you know, I've got a nice sandy tan.
Right.
It's not really happening, but that's all right.
It's okay though. But yeah, definitely we'll let the Cocoon reflection shine on.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Myself, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So I wanted to show off a couple of shirts to show some people what kind of work you do. I think it's important. So I'm gonna do that right now. Excuse me for a second. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're gonna being
I've
that
also
not
got some originals on the wall behind me, which
get out of here.
I can walk through. They're the original ones that I did on the train when the project first started.
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, so you let me unplug this thing. And,
Okay. All right. Before you do that, I just want everybody to see this. You did this beautiful gem. This is Nasty Nas, and this is from DJ J Period from Brooklyn. That's from his mixtape series. And then let me remove this hanger because I think it's kind of messing up the whole visual aspect of it, right? So we're gonna make it more clear. And then this one is a beauty. This is a beaut. This is Outcast. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
Okay. And then this is also Dan Lish's work. And then the Tribe Called Quest one I already rocked, so I think it's in the the laundry area, if you will.
Laundry, yeah.
Yeah, that's the best way to say it. Cool, man. But yeah, show us around.
Yeah. So I mean, this is. Let me see if you can see all this. It's Primo.
Oh my Lord, have mercy.
Bam. Prince Paul.
Oh my goodness.
Diamond D. Master Ace.
Wow.
Guru. So these are very small. You can see by the size of my hand. You know, so I'm on the train tickling away with the pen. Which is,
look at that. Look at that.
Mad Lib.
They look like they're going to come out and talk to you. That's how realistic they look.
Rem Z. And then over here, see, I keep these on the wall because it's just good for storage, really, because I've run out of room. KRS.
Look at that. That's freaking amazing, man. Qbert, I just had Qbert on, man. He's a great guy. That dude's
yeah, I saw it. Yeah, there's another Ram
fun character. Oh, look at that. Look at that. You got to be
There's
freaking
the
kidding me.
original NAS up there. But I had to do another one because I wasn't really too happy with that one. It was Extra P, Large Pro,
Damn.
and Cool Herc without the glasses, the gazelles, and that's so they just stay on my wall.
That's beautiful.
Um,
And that's beautiful, man. Wow. We think I want to thank you for sharing those gems
yeah,
and just blessing us with the visuals, man. You just blew our minds with that, with all of that.
yeah, there we go. Yeah, so they just they stay up the wall because a lot of the bigger pieces are stashed under my bed. I mean, I really should be moving out of this apartment because it's a bit too small for us all now. But you know, I stick them the originals where I can find space. And on the walls is you know, they're cheap frames. They're not really good frames, but they just keep them protected. You know, so
You know,
I had a really good call a couple of weeks ago with Monica Lynch, you know, who's the president of Tommy Boy Records, and
oh yes.
at the time, yeah. But she called me up and wants to rep me to sell a lot of these originals at Sotheby's in
Mm,
New York. So that'll be
very
in
cool.
October. Yeah, that'll be in October. So I have you know 200 plus illustrations now. Um, So that'll be. I'm jumping forwards a bit because there's been no, you know, not
Y-
much introduction or whatever. But I'm assuming, you know, a lot of heads will be familiar with the artwork. But if not, man, I can go into how the journey started if you like.
And that's great minds think alike, because that's what I was going to ask you next. I want to know, before we do that, I think you blew all of our minds when you just said, you just said it like that. Only magicians can do things like this. Only artists can do things like this. You said, I was just, you were casually, I'm just on the train and I just finished up 50 of these. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
it's like,
Well,
it's
yeah.
crazy.
It was. I mean, the small ones which are about this large. I mean, I did have a bit of reference material. If it was, you know, maybe something like this, just a printout, or maybe on my phone. But the original, I'd say the first 25 were very spontaneous, and I'd have a bit of reference, and just do what I had to do on the train on the way up to London. It
Right.
took about an hour journey, and then on the way back I'd finish it off, because where they're so small I could do it in a couple of hours. Then I'd scan it and color it in Photoshop, and then as I got to cruise and things got a bit more intricate and I wanted to push it, so the illustrations got larger, and you know, that's more labor. So that means I'd take it from the train, and then wherever I'd drop one of my daughters off if she was swimming, or you know, wherever, gymnastics or something, I'll be sitting on the sidelines just finishing off. You know, it could be under a tree in the countryside or whatever. You know, I mean, I did Raekwon Raekwon's album cover because it was quite a large illustration.
Right.
I took that all over the place with me. I mean, it's very mobile. You know, I was on the train. I was in my wife's parents' front room, in a tree in the countryside, in a cafe, you know, all over the place. So that was the beautiful thing, you know. It's just a pen and a bit of paper, and
Right.
whatever comes in, as long as I've got a bit of reference, and everyone can tell, or I can tell, that it's that person that I'm focusing on, then it's all good, you know. I just see what
Man.
happens. It's very spontaneous, and there's lots. Yeah, so jumping back.
Yes.
It started roughly in about 2014, and I think it was my wife got me on Facebook because I wasn't really bothered at the time. She said, you should post your artwork up on Facebook or the social sites. So I did that, and I stuck up the block party, which is quite a classic piece of it's like a fly on the wall observation of like a block party, probably in the Bronx or something, late 70s, early 80s.
Yes. Where it all started. Where it all started.
Yeah, yeah. So I wanted to pay. sort of a homage to that. And I did that around the same time the book, that Yes, Yes, Y'all book came out. And I was living in New York at the time, so I was up in the Bronx, and I was living in Brooklyn, but I was traveling up and down and hanging out with Buddy Esquire. We became really good friends. And I was around the architects a lot when I created that piece, and it blew up on the internet, and it's been bootlegged so many times, but you know, whatever. It was used for my dear friend, rest in peace, Break DJ Lacey's album cover, Breaksploitation.
Rest in peace.
And, so he was messing around with the break beats and on the b-boy scene, and that's why I sort of shifted more into the b-boying and everything. From my youth up into my mid-30s, I was still quite active. And so, yeah, I digress, man. Pete Rock and Rakim gave it a shout out, and they used that artwork. And so as a thank you,
wow,
just giving me a shout, I did a picture of them. And also Paradise Grey as well from X-Clan. He loved the piece, so he wanted to print out to put in his hip-hop museum in New York. I can't remember if it's the Bronx, Harlem, or Brooklyn. I'm not sure, but as a thank you, I did just very grounded illustrations of him in a quiet place. It wasn't ego b-boy, you know, machismo. You know what I mean? It was just very grounded and centered and peaceful. And that's the angle I took, which was different. And I did that with Rakim as well, at a kitchen table or somewhere with just, you know, quill or something, writing a rhyme. Like the first one that came into my head was, you know, Planets Like Balls of Clay, you know, the names, man. Follow the Leader, that's right.
Yes.
So all these really spontaneous things that's come into my head, like I'm a conduit for something greater that is coming in. And it's just spilling out. So they're very spontaneous. So I did that. I did Paradise Grey and Rakim, and then Pete Rock, and then I think it's probably Cool Keith. And I felt like it was a good organic thing. Something was happening. So I just went with it. And it just progressed from there, man, on the train with a black pen and a small sketchbook.
Wow.
Yeah, that's it, man. You know, and 7 years later or something, it's I'm still doing what I do, putting a book out and working on book 2 now of the collected illustrations, and seeing where it'll go. You know, it's good to take it to murals, and be doing a lot of album covers, be getting into, you know, book covers and animations and stuff. You know, so. I mean, it will transition eventually, because I do see it as being finite. I don't want to keep on repeating myself. So I'm not sure. I'm not going to say it's going to end, but it will transition probably into something else. Because as an artist, you need to explore new ground. You don't want to be stale. I mean, that's with music and visual art and everything.
Right.
It's creative. You don't want to, because it gets a bit boring, you know what I mean, if you just keep on doing the same thing. But the good way with this is that it's in a spiritual context. It's an ego strip for me and the subject matter. I'm taking away that ego imbalance, and I'm celebrating the human journey of creativity in a soundbite. That's really what it is. And within that stream of consciousness, as I'm creating things pop in. I might have been listening to, you know, because supposedly we take in 90% of all information around us is subconscious. So all these, who knows what comes out in these things that I see as relevant, but the average head will think, well, I don't understand that, but it's part of the texture of the illustration. But to me, it's got a meaning behind it. It's esoteric, I guess you could say that, esoteric and occult things. Occult is hidden, not in the way the mainstream is said a cult is, which is like satanic.
You're right, right.
It's hidden knowledge that humans should have access to as a form of empowerment. So I'm not just saying it's like some, you know, sacred script that I'm doing or whatever, but if I'm going down these rabbit holes, these things emerge in the artwork that might not have anything to do on the surface with James Brown or Dilla. But to me, I'm joining the dots everywhere, and it's all to do with the just that beautiful journey that in our life. And if we're blessed with the, you know, creativity, that's where it's at for me.
Yes, man, and
yeah.
woo! Man, I got my goosebumps.
I got to stroke this cat now just to bring me back down to earth. You know?
Yeah, no, you just what you just did was you just profound words, and just that was beautiful, man, beautiful, and just everything that you just described in a very just in a very in a smooth way. The words just very moving, and that's a reflection of your passion and your gift. You know, you have a God-given talent, and definitely I think as Kubert mentioned when he was on the show, and it's been resonating in my brain for these past couple of weeks. He said everybody has a superpower. We all have superpowers. Let's not get complacent. If you make a masterpiece, don't just get stuck on it. Continue to evolve, and don't be complacent. So those words resonate with me, and man, beautifully said on your behalf, man. You have a God-given talent, and that's why we're here to display your God-given talents and spread it out to the planet. I mean,
I do believe we all have that. We all have that. One wise man said we're all pregnant with potential, and that could be anyone. It doesn't matter what background or hardships or trauma we've been through. You just got to work through it. And if you've got creativity, I mean, there's a balance even with creativity about expressing yourself through creativity. Sometimes that might be an escape from the shadow work that we all need to do from childhood traumas. And I know it's quite a deep another rabbit hole there, but creativity is a beautiful thing, be it emceeing, you know, just drawing, painting, or whatever. But it's having that awareness that I'm just doing this to escape. And sometimes that pain that arises, that's telling you that there's purpose in that pain, you know. I don't know where I'm going with it, but I'm just, it's been around my head space the last couple of weeks, where if I feel uncomfortable, drawing is a very nurturing thing to do, a practice to do. It's very cathartic. Obviously you're expressing yourself, but it's that tick tick ticking for me. It's like someone applying the paint or spraying. It's that movement. It's that whole putting your whole being into it. There is a balance that you still need to ground yourself and check yourself, because within that creativity you could just be forgetting about everything else to a point where you know you need to ground yourself in the reality of what's happening as well, to heal, and not just immerse yourself in creativity as an escape. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense, my brother. It makes perfect sense. Very intricate. Dan Lish is dropping gems, verbal gems. And this is one thing that stands out to me as you're describing this whole beautiful storyline of your origin and how you came about to have this talent, this natural talent. You can be on planet Cocoon. You can be on planet Krypton. You can be on a park bench waiting for your daughter or son to do their thing in their swim meet, and this pen can create anything in any situation, any environment, any visual landscape. And to me, that's just impressive. I find that very intriguing. And just the fact that you can paint a picture within a split second. It could be 20 minutes or a half hour. You just create. It's just amazing. I just find it amazing.
Yeah, no, it's because if I catch myself, if I film myself drawing, you got that strange, like you're a third person. You're not connected to watching the time lapse of you drawing or something. It's a very strange thing. Rewatching the actual person as yourself doing the drawing. It's a weird thing. So I know what you're saying. But yeah, man, hang on. This thing keeps on. There you go.
Something.
Yeah, where else should we take this, man? Because I already went off into the stratosphere, and it's good to sort of bring it back down to earth.
Of course. Oh no, it's great. We're enjoying.
You have to pull me back down now because my mind is out there, and you know it could go into strange places. So bring me back.
Hey, you know what? And that's the beauty of it. You could keep it strange, keep it interesting. This is the safe space right now. This is what we're here to do. So it's your platform. So I wanted to ask you, growing up, obviously you love hip hop and you love the art and the culture and all the elements that go with it. I would like to know, I ask everybody that's on the show, dead or alive, who would Dan Lish work with, dead or alive? It could be a MC, it can be a group, it can be a graffiti artist. Any elements of hip hop in that genre and that collective, who would Dan Lish want to work with? You can name 3 people, and anybody that sticks out to you. If they said next weekend, Dan Lish, let's do work, dead or alive,
Right,
who would?
right. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but I mean, for me, it's obvious. It would be Doom, Dilla, and the third one. I think it would be because Cuba is one of my, you know, he's like the don of the scratch DJ. So I mean, it would be. Maybe it would be Cuba or I'm really not sure, man.
You got Rob Swift, you got Rock Raider, you got DJ. There's so many guys out there, but Cuba definitely he's the alpha and omega. He's definitely, yeah, man. I mean,
because his creativity as well, he's got a very good visual sense as well. And yeah, that's a good question. That third one I'm struggling with, but let's say Cuba then. Yeah, it'd be Doom.
okay.
But yeah.
I love, well, Dilla and Doom definitely came natural. That was like rolled off the tongue naturally. So yeah, my top 5 for sure. My favorite.
Yeah, because the creativity, what they did, and they didn't just leave a legacy. You know, they created that legacy as they went with the longevity. You know, and the brilliance in their art. So that they're the ones that come to mind, but that's a vast question. So I mean, that would probably change. I don't think it would change that much. Maybe if you ask me again in another week, but let's get. Yeah.
Excuse me for 10 seconds, my brother. I will be right back. Okay. Be right back. Sorry about that.
Don't expect me to sing a song. I'm going to stroke my cat. Everyone watching, you can just stroke. You can see me stroking a cat. There we go. Stroke, 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 stroke.
So I have to show you this.
Yeah. There we go. Back again.
All right.
My cat.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah.
All right. Boom. Sorry about that. I apologize. So I'm gonna.
Viewers, they were just watching me stroke the cat.
There you go.
You know, just yeah. I've got a problem with the camera just staring at me, see, so I'll direct it to somewhere more interesting.
No, hey, I like the way you worked that. Thank you for adjusting to the. So it's yeah. So we're doing a trial run on these bad boys. My wife made these, so it's I'll send you some goodies at some point once everything's established. There's a sticker, so get some things
on the record crate or the box. Yeah. for when I
Yeah,
eventually go out and play again, you know.
exactly. So, so basically, I thought you would appreciate this, and I love that you mentioned Dilla, so we can segue into that real quick. Uncle Herm, who you're familiar with, he was on the show about a month ago. Uncle Herm, Jay Dilla's uncle.
Mhm.
Um, he's been doing his thing for the donut shop, Dilla's Delights, something that could reflect towards Dilla's legacy. He thought it was important to open up a donut shop, organic donuts, the whole nine. They've
Is
done
that
well
in
for them.
Detroit? Was that in Detroit?
Yeah, yes, Detroit. And so, unfortunately, when the crapdemic struck, things slowed down, but it looks like they're coming back to speed. So I thought you would appreciate this, Danlish. Uncle Herm reached out to me last night, like very fast. We've become friends.
Mhm.
So he reached out to me last night. He's gonna be here in Chicago he's gonna be here for the whole day, probably for a couple of days. He drove from Detroit this morning actually, and he's probably should be here. He's gonna be doing there's a DJ by the name of Sean Doe. He's gonna be spinning at this community center in Stony Island, the south side of Chicago, where Common grew up in that area,
Yep.
Stony Island. And yeah, so Dilla's gonna be I'm probably gonna meet up with Uncle Herm just to say hi and show my respects to him.
Yeah.
So thought you would appreciate that,
Yeah. I'd love to be there. Yeah, that'd be great.
man.
Yeah.
Someday, man, someday we could set
Yeah.
something up.
Yeah.
So I was curious. I've never been. So were you born and raised in England, or where do you reside? Where were you born and where do you
Yeah.
reside?
I was born in England. My father is a New Yorker, born and bred, and he was in the Air Force based in Suffolk, which is the east side of England. The sort of
Wow.
rump that sticks out on the right side. That's Suffolk North. That's East Anglia. So he was posted there in the Air Force in the 60s, and that's where he met my mother. So I was born here. I was conceived in America. I'm going to
There you,
detail, and
there you go.
born in England. But my father made me an American citizen. You know, we had to go up to the embassy in London when I was about 18. I was a citizen. So that's why I eventually pulled my thumb out and went to America, New York, in my late 20s, in the late 90s. Although I went there, I visited my relatives in Brooklyn in '77. So I was
Hmm.
very young. I was about 6. Um, and I don't remember too much. I remember seeing Star Wars
Oh,
in
ooh,
'77. Yeah, in my
that
little
is amazing.
6-year-old mind. Yeah. Um, it was maybe downtown Brooklyn. I'm not sure. My dad said it was Brooklyn where we went to see it. I always thought it was in Manhattan, but yeah. I remember the subways being hot as hell. There was no AC. I remember throwing up in the back of a taxi cab and him paying the fee and then like that, and we snuck out the taxi cab and left it all sloshing about in the back seat.
You talk about a great, that's a great bar story or a pub story. That would be a great story.
Yeah, come on, let's get out. Yeah. So, they're my memories of New York in '77. um,
Wow.
and yeah, so yeah, eventually moved out there, and my wife, my girlfriend at the time, from England as well. She eventually came out with me in the early 2000s, and we got married on Staten Island.
Awesome.
I was living there at the time. And then when the towers got dustified, you know, we moved to Brooklyn, where I was b-boying in a crew, in a Puerto Rican b-boy crew. Shout out to Dynasty Rockers and B.I.S. Breaking in Style. from Bushwick and Williamsburg, when Williamsburg was tough and not gentrified.
Right. I always say this joke, Dan Lish. I always say this. When you just mentioned gentrified. Okay, hold on real quick. Let's segue. I always say this joke. There's certain areas in Chicago that are gentrified. I always like to say the retired gamingers are now Buddhist. They're growing pea and pickle farms, and they're skateboarders now. Right.
Yeah, a lot of vegan things and stuff. Yeah,
Oh man.
funny coffee sort of things. Yeah, sort of frothy coffee with exotic sort of spices or whatever. Very expensive. But anyway, yeah. So I can't remember what I was saying, man.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So we moved to Williamsburg, south side of Williamsburg, and yeah, I was just doing my b-boy thing there, and that's the same time I did that artwork for Lacey, and we were going to the Miami Pro-Ams, and you know, I was just trying to get my DJ thing on around the area. Yeah, because I was doing a lot in England. I did a hip hop night called the Go Off in Portsmouth with my man Ali, and I was doing pirate radio, illegal radio for like 9 years, on and off for 9 years. And
Nice.
yeah, we were just sort of killing the airways with very limited, I must say, probably very limited reach from trying to get the signal out there, you know, because we had to bounce the signal to avoid the DTI, which is the Department of Transport and Communication or something like that. But they did
Right.
bust me once.
Oh.
Begged them not to take my vinyl. We had a backup box of vinyl, so they took that instead, which was great. And they took all the equipment. But yeah, I was doing the pirate radio and lots of things. I was b-boying, breaking from, you know, like 83 onwards. You know, styles came in and out, so that, you know, I slowed down.
Right.
In, probably 87 with that, because I was probably the last of the first generation, you know, of hip hoppers in the UK. So I was the tail end of the first generation.
Wow.
Because there's people that, you know, in their mid to late 50s now that are the first generation. I was the sort of end of that, you know, where I was a little bit too young, but I still got that obsessive bug when it first came to our shores, and we'd get little snippets on the television or hear, you know, the odd joint on the radio or something. Yeah, so
Wow, that's
if I answered your question.
Man, I love it. I love it, man. You know, you took us back to memory lane, and these are stories that I appreciate and that we all appreciate. And by the way, I want to give a shout out to everybody that's on live with us. We appreciate everybody being on. I see some names I've never seen, which I'm probably some buddies of yours. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I've been seeing the little comments, and apologies for not giving you a shout, but it would distract me, I think. So I'm just.
Yeah, no, we're this is perfectly fine, my brother. This is perfectly fine. So let me ask you this. Being that you were a part of that era, and you mentioned you were one of the last guys repping from the UK, and I think that's a beautiful thing, and that's respect. I think that's super cool.
I would interject. I wouldn't say the last. I mean, there's thousands of us, you know, but I'm just saying in that epoch of when it
the category
on shores, because of my age.
Right.
These guys were, you know, 17, 18, 19. I was 13. So those couple of years are such a huge difference, isn't it? When in a young person, you know,
absolutely
massive. So you can't go to the jams because your mum, or in my case, my stepmom wouldn't let me out the house. You know, so I could only, the first jam I went to was of some huge scope was UK Fresh 86. So I was 15 at the time, but I couldn't go to anything before that because I wasn't allowed out of the house, you know. So, you know, I eventually left home at about 16, 17. So I had that freedom. But yeah, so that those couple of years make such a difference, don't they, when you're younger? So that's what I meant. Sorry for cutting you off. Yeah.
No, no, we're all good. So we have a gentleman by the name of Sir Quatre Almacru. He said, Dan's the man. Oh, you know it, man.
Thanks for that, man. Respect.
Dan the man, indeed. All right, so I had a question for you. Since we're talking 80s hip hop, I kind of want to dive into your brain a little bit and see. I wanted to, okay, so which movie are you choosing? If it's the only movie you can see for a week, you're trapped in a warehouse, you know, you have food, you have water, but you're locked in a warehouse and nobody will find the
That's
key until a
horrible.
week.
That's
I
horrible.
know, I know. It sounds horrible, doesn't it? Solace, peace, serenity. Are you watching Crush Groove on VHS, Breaking Part 1, or Beat Street for that whole week? I know.
Can you say Wild Style?
And the last one, Wild Style.
Yeah, Wild Style, please. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Wild Style.
Okay.
Yeah. The others were a bit too Hollywood for me.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Entertaining, but definitely Hollywood. So yeah, Wild Style is more of the essence, and the that's a good answer. We got the homie JG.
Sort of the older you get, and the people you hang out with, and sometimes you meet people in the industry, and you, not saying you wish you never did, but it's like meeting someone that you really respect, and then you find out that they're an asshole.
Oh.
But my boy Ralph Casanova, King Up Rock, he was telling me that who was the director of Beat Street?
I forgot.
You know, what's that? Harry Belafonte.
Oh yes, yes.
He'd only employ local cats if they were in a union or something like that, or was it that they weren't in a union or something? Don't quote me on that, but
okay,
it wasn't really righteous behaviour, and that probably did affect me sort of watching. I mean, I haven't seen Beat Street in years, but
right.
there was quite a lot of politics involved in it, and I think he didn't want to mess with people that were in a union, so he could fleece them a bit, you know,
Right.
which is just like, which isn't great behaviour, but
Kind of sucks.
quote me on that, man. But I think that happened a lot, didn't it, with people on labels, just getting fleeced back in the day, and that's the same with a lot of the movies as well. I think there's probably stories of people just thinking just not good behaviour happening and getting exploited, but I think that's probably the nature of the beast. As soon as you step in front of that camera and you're working with, you know, that corporate sort of mindset that's it's gonna leach in, isn't it? Those tentacles are gonna get in there. But yeah, so it'll be Wild Style all day, every day for a week, stuck in that warehouse
With food.
or Style Wars, which I loved. Style
Yes.
Wars. And there was quite a few just great documentaries that really influenced me when I was younger. There was one called Bombing with, what's his name? He did the Grandmaster Flash covers. Brim from Bombing. The really cheesy. I thought the soundtrack was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because in my mind it sounded like bumming. You know, like bumming.
You're right.
So we mean anyway, yeah, that was with Gold. That was like a lot of. I'll change the subject really quick. That was with Brim coming to the UK and hanging out with Goldie, who was part of the Wolverhampton B-Boys and a brilliant graffiti writer at the time, and obviously went off into the stratosphere with his drum and bass and become a legend and all that. So that was a good documentary, Bombing, and there was so many coming out around 84, 85, 86, you know, which really influenced the first generation or second generation of B-boys, graph writers, DJs, MCs, and everything. You know, the whole thing, man, the whole movement. That was great. But yeah, Star Wars was a dope documentary, man. It was brilliant.
Timeless.
Yeah, some of them things, they just resonate for years, you know.
It's funny, Dan Lish, as you're saying, sometimes, you know how they say sometimes meeting your heroes are not a good thing. Have you we won't go that route, but I'll ask you the positive one. What was your moment that you met one of your hip hop heroes? If you have any cool stories that you met, maybe an MC, a break dancer, a graph writer, in your time being involved in the culture.
Well, I mean, when I was in New York, I would always go to jams, you know, like Rosedale Park, and there's the Disco King Mario in Rosedale Park, and Tony Tone's jam at Crotona Park, and you just see everyone there, man. Everyone was there, like,
Wow.
and I would be as an Englishman with a funny accent and standing out like a sore thumb. You know, you have a huge piece of humble pie, and you just say, man, you know, like Mixed Master Ice, you know. And obviously, I told you about hanging out with Buddy Esquire, so he'd introduce me to all these old school writers like Stickman, who used to do flyers, and even his brother Eddie, who did flyers for BAM, because Buddy used to do flyers for Funky 4+1, and just
Wow.
he got me to meet DJ Breakout and Baron, you know, from Funky 4, and I'd meet. It was continuous. I'd always go to these places. I'd practice in the Bronx. I would live in Staten Island, and I would journey all the way up to the Bronx, to Westchester Square, in the Owen Dolan Center, and practice with Ready to Rock. Shout out to proper Bronx b-boys, and just so you just come into contact. You're in the motherland, you know. I've always done this analogy: if you want to get to the roots of hip hop, or say, like, you know, if you want to get to the roots of kung fu, you wouldn't go to Sweden or somewhere. You know, it's the same with hip hop. You go to New York, and each borough has got its own specific history, you know. So I would go there and just hang out and listen to the stories, and that's with every element of it, you know, the DJs, MCs, b-boys in particular, and writers, because I was still writing then as well, you know, before. So I haven't really answered your question.
And that's okay because we're enjoying it. We're enjoying it, man.
I went to I think it was Lord Finesse's birthday party and SOBs, and Rock Raider was on the turntables, Red Alert was on the turntables.
Wow.
I was standing next to Melly Mel and Large Professor, and you know what I mean? It's just everywhere. You know, it's crazy. So that's just a vast question again. But I would just say anyone who hasn't been to New York and is in love with the roots and the whole culture of it and the spirit of it, just get your ass out to New York and just on a street level, just explore and meet everyone there. Everyone's there, especially when there's jams out in the open in the park. That's the place to be, and just ask questions, and the stories will unfold. And if anything,
Wow.
you won't shut some people up, man. They'll just carry on. And there's so many stories.
No, it's beautiful, but it's a rich. It's such. Well, here's the thing. It's the mecca
It's a
of hip hop.
tapestry. It
Yeah.
creates a tapestry, and it can just, again, I love joining the dots. It's the way my mind works, and it's just everywhere, man. It's just, I mean, I was hanging out with a lot of the OGs in Brooklyn. So I was hanging out. It got to the roots of hanging out with the Devil's Rebels, which are, you know, the PR Puerto Rican bike gangs that influenced uprocking. So I was hanging out with them, with Ralph Casanova, you know, King Uprock.
Wow.
You know, we go into their, you know what I mean? They're coming to, we did a dollar jam on the border of Queens and Brooklyn. And yeah, I was DJing there for 5 hours straight. We'll have battles, and all the gangs of, you know, the Devil's Rebels would come, and Crew Zulu and all that would come by. And it was just a great rutical thing, man. I loved it. It was a beautiful thing, and meeting everyone there continuously, all the dancers, you know, from back then, and they were in their late 50s then, and this was 15 years ago.
Wow.
They had so much history, saying from that gang aspect to, you know, rocking on the Apache line and the history of it all. So it's just all there. All you got to do is just have a bit of humble pie and ask questions. Sometimes everyone fronts, you know, if you've been a bit, you know, you just, sometimes that aspect of it comes into it, you know, the ego. But being as more mature now, man, I'll probably embrace that side even more than I did then. You know,
Wow.
in my mid-30s at the time. Yeah.
That's super dope, man. And what's the name of the crew that you were down with and when you were living in New York? Because I definitely want, I think that's important.
Dynasty Rockers. I was sounds of Dynasty, so I was their DJ, and I also was rocking as well. Up rock is more, and for the b-boy aspect, it was B.I.S. Breaking in Style. That was Papa Rich, Break Easy, who was, I think he was born and bred in Williamsburg. I'm not sure. I haven't spoken to him for a minute. But Ralph is, I think he was born in the Bronx and moved to Bushwick. But he was trying to do documentaries and stuff like that, but the finances were quite low or whatever, and the facilities were quite low. But because I was helping him out with that, I got to meet a lot of these OG rockers, and just the in-depth history that started, you know, like 67, 68, you know, just the roots of it. You know, from the disco side, you know, the salsa side, it's a beautiful thing, man. And then yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, it was more from, yeah, the Hispanic Latino side, but that blurred when it's just the history, you know, all the back then, man, because there was rivalry, you know, with the boroughs or whatever, everyone would really meet in Manhattan. I think it was the Starship Enterprise or some club, and the battles there, and supposedly the b-boys would get influence from the rockers because they would also hit the floor and do little baby freezes. But you can tell I was more doing my b-boy thing because, yeah, when I got to New York, everyone and their grandma was rhyming, and I think I sort of, because of, sorry, I'm going all over the place, but I
no, you're fine.
Feel that the corporate tentacles getting into the MCing part of it, and I was doing pirate radio, and I had quite a strict sort of protocol of what I thought was hot or dope or whatever, and not the originality was going, but I could see things becoming a bit more formulaic, and I think I went back into the b-boy roots and the DJing, you know. So the pirate radio ended, and that's why I think I with that whole true school movement as well in the mid-90s or the early to mid-90s, you remember? And,
yes.
Getting back into the b-boying and the roots of it, because I think subconsciously a lot of heads were all over the world were seeing those corporate tentacles getting in and labels controlling the way artists were rhyming and studio gangsters popping up and what have you. So it was interesting times. I think that's why I went more that hardcore b-boy route, getting into the roots of it, and that shows, I think, through the artwork. Sorry, God, take a breather.
No,
yeah.
No, what do you mean? That's why you're here, brother. That's why you're here, and then we're taking it all in and absorbing this historic b-boy extravaganza of a story that you're displaying for us here. So we love it, man.
Yeah,
it's great.
Nice to open up, and it's not written in stone. It's very fluid what I'm saying, and there's probably a lot of mistakes in it. But I think generally, you know, over a year, because I haven't spoken about this for you know, over a decade, some things become a bit foggy, you know.
Right.
The old grey matter sort of gets a bit cloudy sometimes, you know.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Dan Lish dropped a fun fact. He was a b-boy, a DJ, which I wasn't aware of. I was new to your work probably 3 or 4 years ago. On social media, you know, you start following specific people and MCs, if you will, and they, you know, I've seen a lot of your images. If you Google A Tribe Called Quest, if you Google Black Thought, right, Doom, a lot of your images popped up, And I was wondering, like, who is this dope ass artist? Like, the man without a face. Like, I don't know, I can't put a face to the art. So fast forward 4 years later, here we are, you and I talking, and this is a beautiful thing, man. It's you know,
Yeah,
everything
technology
aligns.
is good for this, you know. Yeah, I have a love and hate thing with some technologies, but this is a a definite positive thing. Yeah, reaching out to people, or you reaching out to me, which is great. There's this. I am Mr. Pete. It says, how do you
Yes.
think your book aligns with other hip hop animated books?
Good question.
Yeah, it is, but I'm not really up on what's coming out, and I try not to collect things just for the sake of it, because when you move in house, you've got to take all the stuff with you, and I've thinned it out, so I'm not really too sure. Um,
That's a
maybe
great.
yeah, maybe you could send some links, and I could have a look, but yeah, oh, not just hip hop. That George Roger Jones, yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean,
great questions.
I love. Yeah, I mean, as I was saying, joining the dots. So I love illustrating. You know, Herbie Hancock or Fela Kuti or Lee Scratch Perry, and I could see that lineage pass through. You know, historically and audibly. So that's what I like to do. It's not just you know, quote unquote hip hop. You know, it's all the dots joining all that dots with it as well. And maybe that love for that came into it when the way my brain works, and I'm sure you felt the same as well when
Absolutely.
you heard someone like, what is that sample in the like late 80s, early 90s or something, or maybe a bit before, when I got my head around sampling and shit, they're actually using other artists' music. What is that? And then looking for that and getting all nerdy, looking for the break or the loop or something, and
Right.
getting really happy when you found it, you know. So that's part of it. That's sort of getting intricate, you know, with where it comes from. And I know there's part of it which can maybe over intellectualize hip hop, and I think that's what happened with jazz. You know, it's just maybe it lost some of its looseness because it got over intellectualized. So I'm very conscious about not doing that too much. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
it's there's that balance again. There's that proverbial balance, isn't there, all the time and everything.
Yeah, and I love IMP215. We appreciate the good questions. And that's another thing. If anybody has questions for the gentleman, Dan Lish, feel free, as Pete is doing. He said there's a series called Hip Hop Family Tree. It's the history of hip hop from 1970 to 1983. You're familiar with this, right, Dan?
Yeah, that's the artist. What's his name? I can't remember his name now. Which is aesthetically, it was great, but my only issue I had with it that his drawings didn't look like the people. I said it. I said it. Right. That's
Hey,
it.
hey,
You can
this is
come to
coming
me
from a
and say,
legit source.
yeah, that's it. They didn't really look like. They didn't look. Not really. They didn't look like the people. And I'm thinking, if you're gonna draw historically, they at least need to. Maybe there was a little element of them looking a bit like that person, but that was my main thing. The actual thing was brilliant. It was great. It was done the way he did the half tone and make it look like it was something from, you know, on the crap paper and the way it was printed. But the actual nitty gritty, the people didn't look like, you know, who he was trying to predict. So I'm aware of it, and it was great. Didn't pick them up because I thought, man, they don't look like the people. So
This is coming from an OG artist that knows his stuff, and obviously his work shows. I agree with you in that sense because there's a lot lately, Dan, on eBay. They've been selling these family tree things for double the price. I call them hype beasts. I call them,
yeah,
you know,
I mean
especially in the.
they're brilliant. They've got they're in there. You know that they deserve for the context it's in, and the, you know, doing that. Because at the time I was like, oh man, that's, you know, I was a bit negative. I think I was just jumping on the bandwagon or whatever. But it's done very well. Apart from, yeah, I'm repeating myself. They don't look like the heads that he's trying to predict, draw.
You you had me laughing when you said that because it's true. If you're gonna draw somebody or something, make sure it's at least a resemblance of or a reflection of that person, that individual. It's almost like you're drawing Batman and Robin without capes. That you can't do that. It doesn't make sense. Why would you
Sorry,
do
I just
that?
had to plug the phone in because I unplugged it and it's back in now. I was running out of juice.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah,
No,
I
all
mean, it's
good.
not a disrespect. It's just an honest opinion
Mm-hmm.
of it, and
Right.
maybe it was intentionally not of importance. It was mainly to get the context of the historical movement, the way it tracked through time, and not getting that precision on people's faces or whatever. I mean, maybe that was, just sort of throwing it out there. But yeah,
I
yeah,
so I had to ask you, Dan Lish. I know you're a big Nas fan, obviously, growing up in the golden era and being a part of that culture naturally, right? That historic era, the boom bap 90s. Um, this has been going on since 2005, 2006. Do you believe in this life? Will we see a Nas and a DJ Premier album that we were promised 20 plus years ago? Do you think in this life will we see that happening? In your opinion?
yeah. Why not? I could see that happening. Hopefully, I'm not really too sure. I wouldn't really know what to expect musically or lyrically. I mean, I'm sure it would be great, but it could happen. I mean, I can't really give a really in-depth answer on that. I mean, why not?
Yeah,
It's
it's well,
why do you think it wouldn't happen? Because to
well, well, the reason why is because they announced something in 2005, and here we are in 2021. Nas has worked with other producers, right? He's worked with specific producers, and we're all like, as fans, we're thirsting for that, that foundation of a duo and a nucleus, and it's just like
Mhm.
sometimes it's frustrating as a fan, it would be nice for them to do it for the fans, is what I'm saying, and it hasn't been done yet. I see Primo, shout out to him. He's been working with a lot of the newer guys, and that's great too. But man, it just would be cool to see that, and I haven't, it's been a,
Maybe yeah. See, I was unaware of what was said in 2005 because as I said in New York, I was just engulfed in the b-boy rocking and graffiti DJing thing, and not too on the MC tip. So I wasn't aware of that, to be honest. But
right.
my first response to that would be getting the all the original producers off the first LP, and then just that same lineup, and then seeing where they're going to take it for that LP, not just Primo, just all of them.
All of them. Right.
Yeah,
You were
so
immersed in all of that. Right.
yeah, that would be. I think that'd be really anticipated, considering that they've just put so much effort into celebrating that classic first LP. With documentaries and all that stuff, man. That would be. I think that would be a better shot than just no. I mean, Primo's the man, but to me, it seems like it'd be obvious to get everyone that was killing it on the first LP production wise to do a new, and that's one cover I'd love to draw.
Yes. Oh my goodness. That would be a masterpiece.
Yeah, yeah.
So
I
a
did
gentleman had
actually
it.
say, which to my detriment, I just did it as just some fanboy shit. I just said I reached out to him. I said, look, man, if you ever do a project, I'll just do that shit for free. And
Wow.
sometimes I do that too. There's a DJ Coco, what's his name? The Japanese guy who's brilliant.
DJ Honda?
No, Coco something or
Coco.
other.
Okay, Coco, another guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's so good, finesse and everything on it. But I said to him as well, I'll do some shit for free, man. I mean, I think for Joe Ron Bombay as well. I'm sure I was saying, look, man, if you put out another Rock the Discotheque Part 3, I'll just want to do the cover for you for free. You know, if I really love the craft that much, I don't care, man. It's just do it for the love of it.
Yes.
And see where it goes. Working with them people, man, it'd be great.
That's beautiful, man. And I feel the same way. I do this for the love. You know,
Yeah.
I think it's important to display special artists as yourself and other dope artists that don't, you know, they need to be reminded that you guys are still here and it exists because you guys represent the culture lovely and the stories that you displayed as well, man. The history, I love that too. A gentleman has a question for you, and I'm trying to pay attention to the comments as well. Is there an upcoming Doom project coming? And if so, can you speak on it?
I think he's this gentleman saw a post that I did, and there is. I'm not sure if I can speak on it too much, but there is a joint coming out, a single coming out. I can't really. I don't think I should say too much because I might get into trouble. But,
it's okay, yeah.
Being put out independently, and I illustrated the video, which was a lot of labor, but it was cool. It was. I was moaning a bit because it was a lot. It's a lot, you know, just doing all this, man, and then having to do it again to make the stuff move correctly and in After Effects. But yeah, to answer your question, there is going to be a single out, and I've done the cover and the animated video. I haven't animated myself. My boy Lish, who does a lot of great animations. He's done the animation. He had to cut up about, I think I did 22 illustrations or 24, something like that, that he had to cut up for this collaborative single. So it's not just Doom. I don't even want to say the other two either.
Yeah, we'll leave it alone.
Give it away.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone. Yeah.
There's three, including Doom. There's two legendary MCs that are guesting on this single. I'm not sure when it's going to be out.
Wow.
Yeah.
But, well, we appreciate Dan Lish giving us a little sprinkle of what's to come, and I like to be intrigued, and I want to know later on once it comes out. It's going to be exciting. I already know it once as you're saying it. So, good question. Somebody mentioned A$AP Rock. Okay, Wes Brown 206. You mentioned A$AP Rock. Maybe he's asking if you drew anything of A$AP Rock. I'm assuming.
I mean, he's got, you know, skills for years, but I haven't gone there yet. I mean, there's a lot of heads that I haven't done yet, and it just has to be the timing and the feeling really, and I just don't want to do it just for the sake of doing it.
You want to be in
that gap. It has to be in the right sort of feeling really, and yeah. But that's a good call. I mean, there's probably quite a lot, and yeah, RapCast as well. Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't done him yet, and he's still killing it. So no. Probably
yeah. So. Right. So and it's true. I mean, Dan Lish, when you feel it, when you have the headspace for it, and it comes naturally, where one day you're just like, all right, I'm gonna draw this guy. It's got to happen that way, and not, like you said, forced or like, oh, I need to do this because for whatever reason. So it's got to be an inspiration or just a feeling, right? Like you said.
Yeah, and there's probably there's hundreds that you know, even if I like a couple of their singles that have resonated over the years or whatever, that there has to be something, a switch to make me sort of commit to drawing it and putting that time in. And it doesn't mean I don't rate them or love their music. It just hasn't happened. You know, it's quite hard to define.
And
you go on, sorry.
I'm sorry. So yeah, a gentleman was asking, who is your favorite male? I think he said MC. Who is your favorite male MC? I think that's what it said. I'm not sure, but I think that's what it said.
Male and female, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Male and female.
There you go.
I mean, Shantae comes up there, but I mean, I'm not current really with what's happening, to be honest, because I mean this changes on a monthly basis really. Nothing really comes to mind. It's just I haven't got one single favorite really. Again, like it will change. Even top five, which I've been asked before, just depends on what I've been vibing with.
The mood.
Really, there's hundreds really. I mean, it just depends what like context you put it in as well. I mean, current, I couldn't really say, because not just because I always listen to old shit, but I'm as an older man now, I find myself getting more into instrumental and not so much listening to MCs.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's right.
That's interesting.
It's a lot of older heads as well. Maybe after listening to decades of you know, words like, you know, the way a rap is delivered. Sometimes I'm feeling it, sometimes I'm not, and most of the time I just want to hear a vibe, like not, you know, melodic or just a groove. And I listen to mainly instrumental stuff nowadays, to be honest. So current MCs, I couldn't really tell you. And it's very eclectic now as well. It could be some like Polish soundtrack to some like weird electronic thing, or then bung on some Ahmad Jamal, you know, nice jazz, and then go into something else. It's all over the place now. You know, it's not like when I was like in my mid-20s, that's all I was listening to.
Right.
I've had to grow, you know, to change. That's the constant. That's the only constant, isn't it?
And it's true. It's as the older and wiser that we get, sometimes distinctively in your brain, like if you're doing your me as an MC, I do it for the love of the culture. I don't. That's it. I just, because I enjoy just visually seeing landscapes like you do. Like if you have an instrumental in your head, I think that is that your therapy while you're drawing? Do you hear instrumentals while you're drawing, or is it more of a silent type of deal with you?
No, it's not here or there. I mean, if I was on the train, say like I was doing Pete Rock or CL Smooth, you know, pick, you know, Straighten It Out remix would be there. The Create, you know, that first EP and a couple of joints off the first or the second album. Just three or four songs that have resonated over the years that I would play specifically. But then sometimes, say if I can't put anything, but I'd have a random playlist. Sorry, that's the hamster in the corner. Just crazy. I've got a hamster as well. This cat has been trying to get this hamster for the whole weekend.
So I take it they're best friends.
Well, the cat thinks that they're best friends. This hamster's so old, he hasn't got a clue what's going on anymore, but he's making a racket in the corner. Sorry.
No, that's fine.
So sometimes it's completely irrelevant that there's any music in my head while I'm drawing it. Most of the time it is, but sometimes there's nothing there. And I'm just exploring, trying to, with a crude instrument as an ink pen, to explore sound frequencies in line of what this track was. Or it's just some weird cosmic shit that you know, when I'm drawing, sometimes it's, you know what I mean? It's a hard question to answer.
Okay.
It's very
fair enough. And so it's more or less like you said, it's all in your mood, and when the moment is there, you just you take that moment and you just grasp it, right? So more of a natural thing. Okay.
Yeah. Should we
Fair enough.
go through questions or something? Mode 2. Yeah, I've got.
Yes.
He's a legend, isn't he? I mean, what Mode 2 if any people aren't familiar, you know, he's a old school graffiti writer from London, but moved to France. But he's still doing his thing, and he does these beautiful female characters, and he does he was known mainly for his characters and everything, which I loved. He's a little bit older than me, so he was an influence, you know, when I was younger, when I was like 14, 15, 16, and he's still doing his thing now, you know. So I've only met him a couple of times, and it was very brief. But yeah, it's a positive thing. He's doing his thing, you know. He's got his craft, and he's taking it his own way. Yeah.
Absolutely. And a gentleman, Spicy Paul, once again, Spicy Paul, will Eagle Strip Book 2 include soul and jazz artists, or just strictly hip hop? That's a good question.
It will be, yeah, no, it will be. Like I say, there's a section in the back where it's called Join the Dots, I think, Join the Dots or Dashes or something like that. But yeah, that's where I've put all the other influences that have really come along, you know, on the journey with me throughout my life as in music. So yeah, that Ahmad Jamal was in there. I mentioned him. I think in the new one there'll be Jill Scott and
Nice.
Kamasi Washington. Yeah, a lot. There'll be a lot there, because again, it's joining the dots to just the beautiful journey of black music. You know, which I've always had just a real strong connection with throughout my whole life. You know, even when it was my mother, I was bouncing around in my front room with my brother on Space Hoppers. Do you remember them? And,
Space Hoppers.
Yeah, the big bouncy things, and my mum would have Otis Redding or the Temptations on the record player, you know, next to the little black and white television we had, little portable thing. But yeah, so it's, maybe it was in utero, you know, when I was inside my mum's belly, that she was listening to the soul music or something. I'm not sure, but you know, it runs quite deep. But yeah, to answer your question, that will be book 2. There'll be plenty of other musical genres as well. But I guess it's all linked, you know. I won't go too. I could do what I want, really. I could go to some crazy places, but I'll keep it relevant.
Absolutely. And I think this is important to mention now that we're talking about this, but Biz Markie, I know he meant a lot to the planet of hip hop, the culture, and he was, you know, he's the teddy bear of hip hop, right? As we like to consider, a very infectious personality. He just made you feel good. He made you laugh. You know, he was a clown in a genuine way. What does that mean to you, Dan Lish? Because a lot of people don't know that Biz Markie, and you posted it, Biz Markie, the legend, God rest his soul, gave you props on your work that you did for him. How great is that? Just to know that.
It was more, things get more poignant when they transition, don't they, from the physical, you know? So you realize that, you know, it was a great connection, but it wasn't for him. It was that Breaksploitation cover again. He loved it. He reached out to me saying that, can I use it for my laptop when he was doing his Serato thing or something, when he was touring or something like that. That's
DJing.
DJing around the world. And this was in 2011. So I said, yeah. And he said, I owe you one. So I picked him up on that when I was thinking, who can I get to do some drops for the book? And I said, I'll reach out to Biz. And he was like, well, who are you again? What's this? What? You know, he got a bit on the defensive because he thought maybe I was just jumping on it just to say, you know, just to suck him dry for
right.
People do. But then he said, I had to screen capture the message from 2011 and say, look, remember this? He said, you said you owe me one, so can you do me a drop? And he said, oh yeah, cool, no problem. You know what I mean? But it almost happened. We couldn't quite get the timing right, because I reached out to him. He picked up the phone. He was on FaceTime or something. So we were having a conversation like we are now. but he was just about to do, I think it was Rock the Bells or something, the radio show he was involved with. And he said, yes, I got you. I was like, okay, cool. Can you just, and then the signal went dead. And I couldn't get it back. And then I bugged him a couple of weeks later. And he said, yeah, that's cool. And then it just didn't happen. But
Gotcha.
that brief interaction, yeah, it was very, very cool. And I put that quote on my website for a couple of years. He just writes the way he speaks, you know, which is
Yes.
different, you know. It's just, thinking that just the lives he's touched and the entertainment and the love is huge. You know what he left. You know what a legacy.
Yeah. So that definitely a special moment between you and Biz. That brief short nugget, as you mentioned, it's special because something like that, a slice of something like that, it's not always going to happen. So I'm glad that it happened with you and him. It's a great moment, obviously. So
Yeah, it was cool, and it sort of confirmed the sort of when someone does something that is a bit rutical, that is, you're coming from an angle where it's respect, that gets appreciated, and you don't realize that until maybe decades later, you know, with that one piece, you know, that block party artwork. So I did actually redo that a couple of years ago as a painting, because in my mind I'm thinking, after all this situation, you know, is done and dusted, it'd be cool to have a gallery show.
yes.
And then I'm making a point of making larger ink and wash, you know, watercolor and ink, larger paintings for gallery spaces or things that, because what I showed you earlier, they're so small, and you need to just fill up more space and have more color, and so I'm focusing a bit more time on that, but it takes a lot of time. You know, you running around, you know, looking after my girls, my daughters, and paying the rent or whatever. You know what I mean? You got to try and slip it in. I'm also like a lead concept artist for the video game industry as well. So
Oh,
that's my main thing. So putting a
wow.
place in between it, yeah.
Man, that's
I've
super
been doing that
cool.
for 2 decades now. Yeah, I was with Rockstar Games in New York for a couple of years in the early 2000s. You know, and
Wow.
it was Take-Two Interactive and Rockstar Games, Gotham Games, all the way up, and I'm still got my finger in that video game pie now. It's still cool. I never have the time to play video games. I just like creating them, you know.
Right. And sometimes it's better that way because you know it's your work and it reflects on the youth and all the people that are interested in it. So it's super cool. It's super cool. I didn't know that. So that look, stuff that I haven't found out until now. Thank you for dropping that other amazing nugget. Wow.
Yeah, I've really promoted that side because it's quite difficult, because when you're working for a company, it's all unannounced. You know, it's secret. You can't just post things, and it has to be, you know, years later when you. Occasionally I've said like this, and it's completely different style as well.
Yes.
It's 90% digital, quite painterly. It's just completely different from the cross-hatching, crafted style. Sometimes it overlaps a little bit, but I posted stuff before, and I think it goes over people's heads. Like it seems like it's someone else's artwork because the style is completely different. So I keep that. I sort of separate the two. But it's great to do because of that separation. Creatively, it's really cool to work with a team and do something completely different. You know, I'm
Man.
working at the moment. Yeah, shout out to Mythical Games, based in Seattle, Washington. But I'm working on Blanco's Block Party at the moment.
Mm.
A video game based on vinyl toys, and it's all about the blockchain and NFTs and controlling your own character, and you can sell the skins of that character, and it's like a sandbox type game where you can just run around and, so it's cool. It's got a lot of scope and it's fun to work on. They're completely different from, the ego strip stuff and the ink pen work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Different animal and wow. So this guy, you're the jack of all trades, man. You freaking DJ'd. This guy freaking artist, video game
Yeah.
contributor as well. This guy, I tell you, man, you're the jack of all trades.
Yeah, it's difficult to promote yourself when you have many feathers in your cap. So I through experience of doing multiple styles, especially in New York, I just had to slim it down because, trying to get work when you've got, 3 or 4 different styles. And this is really not pre-internet, but it was the earlier days of that. It's just difficult, so slimming it down, it's been quite a joy just having the work come in and it's ink based, which is cool. I've never really had that before. I was always scrabbling around with different styles and I could never figure out, man, I could do acrylics, oil paintings, watercolors. And again, I think it was the ego thing, where I could do it and just like attack it and kill it. And then, but when it came to sort of getting directors or, art directors interested, they thought, well, where is your style? We need to see a style. So I had to slim it down. And I think that's a whole different subject. It's I think it's still quite a negative outlook on things, not from myself, but the way the industry dictates people just having that single style. That's a big open question there, which I don't think we should go down now because it would take too long to pick apart. It is
Well,
what it is. I'm just enjoying still journeying with what I'm doing now, man. It's a blessing as well. The community coming around, and it's a really good thing. Just getting that love from people, because we all like that pat on the back. It's a really beautiful thing.
it is a beautiful,
Humbling. It's very humbling.
absolutely, it's a beautiful thing indeed. And so, and this has been a pleasure, chopping it up with you. And we love you're more than welcome anytime to be on the virtual casa that is SlickBlast RapCast.
Yeah, thanks.
Um,
Appreciate that.
and I'll definitely everybody check out. Please support Dan Lish and his Eagle Strip books and his phenomenal artwork as well. He has a website, and you mentioned shirts. You said aside from the hip hop stuff, you said you have your own shirts as well. Did I hear that
No,
correctly?
I mean J Period was putting some shirts out because we were working together and I was letting him use the artwork that I'd created for a lot of ego strip stuff for his life mixtapes. So he put the shirts out. We do a nice cut and everything. Work as a good team. So that was that. You know what I mean? I haven't put out any clothing yet. I might do, but the feasibility again of storage. If I'm struggling
Yep.
finding to put little bits of paper, where am I going to have the space to put all these hoodies and t-shirts? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's not happening yet. Yeah, so we'll see. Never say never. I would like to. I'd like it to be done properly with really good quality. I'm very fussy with that, so it'd have to be done right for me to do that. You know what I mean? But it's a lot of effort on that side. But for now, yeah, people can go to the shop. There's prints there, and I've still got some books left. Although I'm going to save a certain amount for book 2 when I do the next crowdfunder, which will hopefully be next year because I'm still writing book 2, Ego Strip book 2.
Nice.
So it's a long time, man. It's 35,000 words, I think, for book 1, and it will be probably the same for book 2. But that's what takes the time. It's not the artwork. It's the writing, because I'm
Right.
dyslexic as well, and probably got ADHD or some other syndrome or something nowadays.
You and I both, my friend. You and I both.
Yeah. We've all got something, haven't we? And so it's a challenge writing, but it's a completely different experience, and that's a really pleasant journey as well. It's difficult, but so yeah, you could get prints and books at danlishartworks.bigcartel.com. That's the main stop by for supporting the cause. So I appreciate that, and appreciate you.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely, my brother. And I want to give you your flowers physically while we're talking right now. I think it's important. So I want to thank you and give you your flowers, and thank you for being a creative genius. You're more than welcome to be on whenever, man. This is mi casa su casa, as they like to say. I would love for you to sign. I would love to get the cop at some point to cop the Eagle Strip book, the ones that are available, and it would be great if you could sign it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, just hit me back, just in more detail. You know what I mean? Need your address and all that good stuff, and yeah, we'll get that moving. No problem.
Absolutely, my brother. And is there anybody that you want to shout out? Anyone special that you want to shout out before we bounce out?
Oh man,
it's
yeah. I guess obviously my wife Karen, my daughters Abigail and Elsa. That's first.
Much love.
The crews are all over the place. I guess DJ Format comes to mind. Shout to Matt. Doing some shit, man. As you put me on the spot.
It's okay.
doing some unannounced stuff with Mixmaster Mike. So shout to Mike. Who else? The New York crew.
Love it.
And Dynasty Rockers to Ralph. Yeah, man. Actually, put me on the spot.
Everybody on planet Earth. How about that? Everybody on planet Earth.
Yeah. Free range organic human beings.
Yes, beautiful. Yes, it's got to be free range at all times. Shout out to the cool the cat. Shout out to your cat, Gray Matter. Shout out to the hamster, the hip hop hamster. Look, that's a cool looking cat. It's a handsome looking cat.
He's just like, he is alive.
Yeah. Yes, I know. What is
he's not my cat. We're just cat sitting, man. But he's a lovely cat.
Oh, he's not your cat. Oh, that even makes it more funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
He's himself happy on the artwork.
Tell you, man, he's comfortable. He loves it. He's immersing himself in that art.
Well, he's been running around, jumping on people and biting my daughter's feet, and now he's just his energy levels dropped. He's collapsed on the table, man. But once he's like Duracell bunny rabbit, once that comes up again, he'll be shooting around, waking us up in the middle of the night.
That's hilarious.
He's a little bastard as well. Yeah.
Oh man.
Right,
well, my brother. My brother, it's been a pleasure and a joy to have you on, man. Many blessings and great health to you and your family moving forward. I appreciate you being on. This has been a pleasure. One more time so I can post it. The breakdancing crew, because I already asked you 5 times. The ADHD is kicking in.
Yeah,
the walkers,
it was a shout to B.I.S. It was Breaking Star, Williamsburg crew, and okay. Dynasty Rockers, the original Dynasty Rockers, which is
there you go.
King Up Ralph Casanova, and Buddy Esquire. If he was alive now, man, it'd be great. I do miss him. He was a very gentle man. But yeah, man, just love to the New York family and the UK fam, and that's it, and worldwide as well.
That's right. My brother, enjoy the day. Don't let the cat bite your daughter's feet again.
He will.
He probably will, right?
It's guaranteed. That will happen.
All right, my brother. Well, thank you again for being on, and I'll be posting this, and everybody being on with us. We appreciate you guys. Much love and blessings.
Thanks for the questions. Yeah.
All right.
Big hugs from England. All right, and we'll speak soon.
Right back at you from Chicago. Much love, man.
See you later, man. Peace.
Peace.